Hello Planets New, this is Tailspin. Today I'm going to show a little bit more about the Starmap, and I'm going to focus on the draw tool. So I go up here to the three dots, your drop down menu. There's a wrench, which is view tools, there's your measuring tool, hyperjump tool, and there's a draw tool, which is a little pencil. Click on that and this tab pops out. And what you can do on your Starmap is you can click on the add new layer button and you can name it. Let's name it Planetary Development. And let's add one for Diplomatic Relations. So I have two layers, two things, two pages I'm going to draw on. So let's click on Planetary Development and it pops out this little window. And there are 5 options you can choose from. The first one is a little piece of paper and a pencil. It's an edit button, and there's no drawings on this layer yet, so there's nothing listed there, but we'll come back to this. Let's start with a circle. So with the circle, you can just click on any spot you want on the star map. So I'll click there, and you can choose the radius of your circle. So let's say it's a 300 radius. You can change the color of it. We'll make it a blue one. And you can manually set the XY coordinates on the map if you want, but let's just go with that. And so there's my circle. If I don't like the circle, I can go back to the little edit tab, and there's my drawing. It's shown up now in the list, and it tells you where the coordinates are. It tells you the radius of the circle, and there's a little edit there. Edit button. You click on the edit button. I can change the color of it. Let's say change it to yellow. Let's say I want only 100 light years. And there, I've edited my circle. The next feature is a line sequence button. And with this one, you can click once on the map, twice, 3 times. You can click as many times as you want and create your own shape. So let's say you made a mistake, you don't like it. There's a delete last segment and delete first segment, which is pretty nice. I want to select an area where I want to take over. So I would do this with the line segment feature. And you can use your mouse to zoom in and the mouse wheel zoom out. And so now I've created like a visual border for myself and telling me what I want to, or what I consider as my home cluster maybe. So I save that and I say, okay, that's my home cluster, that's my home planet. There's all the planets within 100 light years. One thing I really like to do with the line sequence is plot out my empire and my neighbors' empires. So let's say I'm over here in this big cluster. So I use the line tool to create visual borders for myself. And let's say I negotiated with this neighbor to have this planet and he has the rest, so then I can visually create my border like that. So I would save that and then I would do it again. Let's say his border is yellow and he has to here. And so that's what he controls. And I find as the game goes on that this obviously changes, and that's where it's great. You can go back to the edit. You can select the segment. You say his border line has changed here, so let's edit that and delete last segment, delete last segment, and then we're going to increase it because he took over this area. So that's one way you can visually represent an empire, I guess, a territory, what belongs to who, divisions. I find it helps me. If you don't do that, the difficulty is that you have to, it takes your brain a second to think, okay, where's the border here? Oh yeah, that's right. Instead of just automatically having a visual and just going to it, It's like making a sticky note for yourself. You don't have to keep remembering it. It's always there in front of you. And that's why I do that. Too many things on my mind, probably. So I probably would have put that segment, because it's defining borders, I probably would have put that under diplomatic relations and not so much planetary development. So the layer planetary development has the list of items that I just made, but diplomatic relations doesn't have any of those layers. So this is the one. Diplomatic relations should have these ones. Another thing I use is the text tool. So let's say this chunk territory is fascists. So you can use capitals and lowercase as well. So I know this is fascist territory. I know this used to be colonies. They're dead now. This is crystals. I am birds. And so you can go around the map like that and put all 11 names of races if you want. And if you want, you can use, like I said, the line sequencing to define their empires. I find it can help. And again, you go back to the edit, you can see all the edits you made. And you notice the birds one disappeared. It's because when I did the text, I did not save it. You have to actually click on the save, choose, and it's a save button. Otherwise, it doesn't stay there. And then we have this feature, which is a point on the map. This point on the map just creates literally a plus on the map. And you can add text to it. So let's say we saw a cyborg probe out here. And we'll make that red, so dangerous. So you can do that, and it can remember a point. Sometimes if I'm calculating, let's say I'm a cloaker and I want to wait here somewhere for a freighter to cross the gap. So what I could do is use my measuring tool, which I talk about in another video. And so there's a line from there to there. And we want 81.5 layers. So that's about there. So if I do that, so that is one point where I think a freighter is going to be. So if I go to my draw feature, maybe that's a new layer, maybe that's, we'll call it sneaky points. And click on that point and say, we'll call it the midpoint, red. Alright, these lines, the blue lines here, are the measure tool. And remember, when you push X, that disappears. So I was just using it to measure a point in the middle, but my draw feature tool, my sneaky point, is still there. So now I can go and I can set, a Swift or MBR, whatever it is, cloaked at that point, and I can wait for someone to come. And so that's how I remember things like that. Another thing I use the point thing is to direct my fleet. Sometimes in the birds I like to call a group of my ships like a squadron, so I'll like gold squadron, and your target is here, so I might do that. And I'll color yellow, and there. So now I know where my ships are headed. Now, I know some people keep this in their head. I have a lot going on, so I don't tend to remember everything in every game, so that's why I make these kind of notes. Where was I attacking again? Oh yeah, here. So I have a direction for my ships to go. If my ships are going to do that. If it's a different tactic, then I know, of course, I'm not going to do that. So there's your circle feature, your line sequence feature, your text feature, which puts all these out there, and your point feature, the gold squadron point, probe point, midpoint, and the edit feature, which gives you your list of points. Now let's say I finished with the gold squadron mission and I want to change it. I can go into the edit and I can point it, let's say we beat that spot, we took over that cluster, so we're going to move on to the next cluster. So my next target is going to be, alright, let's attack that instead. So, and save it. And so you can edit these as well. So let's say I control this area now, so I don't need that midpoint, so I can just straight up delete it. Or I'm like, I've discovered a new midpoint here, so I'll put it there. And the point of the layers is, let's say I just wanted to see my sneaky points. I can click on, next to the name of the layer, there's these circles. They're white right now. If I click on one, it becomes empty. And so that's actually turning it off. So there goes my planetary development, there goes my diplomatic relations. So now all I see are my sneaky points. And let's turn on my diplomatic relations. Normally I'd be able to see all the borders, the names of all the races, but so I can, if I just want to see my diplomacy, that's what that is. So you can organize this however you want and turn on and off whatever you want. But it's a pretty flexible drawing tool which allows you to create visuals, a visual roadmap for yourself, visual notes for yourself to help remind you of what things are. Alright, so I think that's about it. That's how you use this draw tool, and it's pretty customizable, so you can go there and do pretty much what you want with it and use it however you want. I find it better than, I still put notes on the planet. Like when you click on the planet picture, the planet notes come up, or the ship notes, or the base notes, and you put notes in it, and it reminds you of things. But I find, like there, I put a note, this planet has T and N, so it has tritanium and neutronium on it, so that reminds me what minerals are there. But if I use the drawing tool and I use the text button and I put it just above it, we'll say it's green, I now have a visual of that, and I don't have to, as I'm quickly going and I'm trying to do my turn quickly and efficiently so I don't waste my time, it takes time for me to click on that planet and go in and see. It takes time to hover over it and wait for the note to pop up in the top right. I mean, I don't want those notes gone. They're very good. And I often, these days, I don't put notes about minerals. I might put, send Largely's freighter here, turn 31. So I might put a note like that. Or on a ship I might say, go to planet 39 and then go to planet 238, so that I remember what I have planned for a certain ship. But certain things like this, like the telling me what's on that planet, a little note like that can be very helpful, and it's just visual, so you don't have to go actually directly into something. It just saves seconds. All this stuff of creating these notes, these lines, these labels, points, anything is just, it's saving you seconds that add up over the game. It's the same as saving your fuel. You know, you reduce your fuel as little as you can so that you don't burn all that fuel. You save 2 or 3 fuel, but in the long run, you know, 100, 200 turn game, you are saving tons of fuel. So it's the same thing, you're saving seconds by doing and recording all this stuff. All right, so I hope that helps, and I'll see you out there.